Greetings. In this video, we are going to see about the different sampling techniques that can be used in social work research. So before going into the details of the different sampling techniques, first we need to have an idea about sample. So what is a sample? A sample is a subset of a population that is used to represent the characteristics of the entire population. So if my population size is 1000 in number and I need to collect data from just 100 people, then I need to select the 100 people in a way that they represent the entire population. So sample is a subset of a population. So they are going to be the representative of the entire population. So then what is a sampling technique? A sampling technique is a process of selecting a specified number of observations from a larger population. If I have 1000 members as my population and my sample size is 100, then sampling technique is the process of selecting that 100 people out of the 1000 members. It is a process of selecting the sample from the population. So if we take up sampling techniques, which is the process of selecting the sample from a population, it is broadly of two categories. One is probability sampling and the second one is non-probability sampling. So in the probability sampling, the universe is defined. Universe is defined in the sense you know the exact population size. For example, if you are collecting if you're collecting data from college students with respect to a specific college, example a particular college, then you can get the data of the exact number of students, that is your population size, from the management. So here the universe is defined. An equal chance is given for every person in the universe. So by adopting any one of the sampling technique, you can provide equal chance for every member of the population to become a sample. So non-probability sampling technique, the universe is undefined. So you will not be able to find the total number of population in specific research. For example, if you are doing a research on the topic of manual scavengers, the children of manual scavengers, then you will not be able to find the exact number of the children of manual scavengers. So at that particular time you can adopt any of the non-probability sampling techniques. So if your universe is defined, one can use probability sampling. If the universe is not at all defined, then the non-probability sampling can be used. But in the non-probability sampling technique, equal chance is not given for all the participants. So now we are going to look into the different type of sampling techniques. First, we are going to look into the probability sampling. Um, these are the four widely used probability sampling techniques. The first is simple, next systematic, stratified, and then multi-stage. So simple random sampling. Simple. It is very simple. It is a commonly used technique if there is a smaller population. So simple random technique can be used if the population size is low. For example, you have only the population size of 30 people and you need to select just 10 members from that. Then you can use simple random technique. It provides equal chance for every person in the universe to become a respondent. It can use lottery method, rotating using sequential list. So a lottery method in the sense it is just the a lottery way. You can write a chit. If your population size is 30, you can just write the names of the persons and you can pick, or someone can be asked to pick, and those 10 samples can be used to collect data. So equal chance is given for all the members in the population. And a few argue that simple random technique can be used only when the population size is below or equal to 30 and not above that. Systematic random sampling. So in systematic random sampling, samples are chosen very systematically. Equal intervals will be there between the respondents. So in systematic random sampling, a formula need to be used. That is small k is equal to capital N by small n. Capital N is the population size and small n is the sample size. So for example, if your population size is 1000 and you need to collect 100 members, collect data from 100 members out of the 1000, then you can use this particular formula. So capital N population size 1000 divided by sample size 100. It will be 10. So it is the 10. So every 10th respondent will be your respondent. Every 10th person in the population will be your respondent. So how will you decide this is the 10th person? So if you have got k is equal to 10, then you can just write a chit 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and then you can just pick one chit. If your number is 5, then the fifth respondent in your list is your first respondent, and your second respondent will be 5 plus k. K is equal to 10, so 5 plus 10 is equal to 15. So the 15th person in the list will be your second respondent. Next 15 plus k, 15 plus 10 is equal to 25. Then the 25th person in the list will be your third respondent. Then 35th person in your list will be the fourth respondent. So it is just using the formula k is equal to n by n. So if your k value is 8, then you can write a chit containing 1 to 8, and then you can pick one chit, and if it comes 2, then the second person in the list will be your first respondent, and 2 plus 8, 10th person in your list will be the second respondent. Next 10 plus 8, 18. 18th person in the list will be your third respondent, and it goes similar. Stratified sampling. Population is divided into different strata. The division is done based on the characteristics, and each data are heterogeneous. So for example, you're going to collect data from women, children, youth. They are different strata. Or if you want to collect information from different income groups, middle income, low income, and upper class. So they are different strata, and they have characteristics of their own, and each strata are heterogeneous. They are exclusive in nature. So at that particular time you can adopt this stratified sampling technique. So if there are different strata and you need to collect data from different strata, you can adopt the stratified sampling, but only if your universe is defined. Even in stratified sampling technique, there are two different types. One is proportionate stratified sampling. The second one is non-proportionate stratified sampling. So proportionate stratified sampling is that it is in accordance with the population of each strata. So for example, you have 1000 women, 2000 children and 10,000 male, then you will be selecting the sample according to their population size. So if there is 10,000 men, the number of sample from the strata of men will be higher, and if there is only 2000 children, then the number of children as sample will be lower. So everything will be in accordance with the population size of that particular strata. If the population size of a strata is high, then the number of sample chosen from that particular strata will be high. If the population size of a strata is low, then the sample size chosen from that particular strata will be low. But if you take up non-probability non-proportionate stratified sampling, equal number of participants are taken from each strata irrespective of their population size. You can take the same example. There are 10,000 men, 5,000 women and 2,000 children, but we are taking a sample in equal numbers. 1000 children, 1000 men, 1000 women, then it is non-proportionate stratified sampling because we are collecting equal number of samples from each strata irrespective of their population size. So if the collection of sample is in accordance with the population size, then it is proportionate stratified sampling. If the sample size is not in accordance with the population size of the different strata, then it is non-proportionate stratified sampling. So multi-stage sampling technique. The population is divided into various clusters. The clusters are then divided into multiple subgroups. Then the subgroups are divided further. The division happens until the unit could not be divided. So for example, if the population we consider is India, so India is divided into different states in the first stage, then different states are divided into different districts in the second stage, and even different districts are divided into different blocks, and it goes on and on until it cannot be divided further. So the sample from each cluster will be taken into consideration. There is a um, wholesome population and you are dividing into clusters and the division goes on further. It is called as multi-stage sampling technique. So non-probability sampling. Non-probability sampling can be used only when your universe is not defined. You are not able to identify the size of your universe. Population size cannot be known. So, but using a non-probability sampling will not provide an equal chance to all the members in the universe. Mainly the three different types of non-probability sampling can be used. One is purposive sampling. Purposive sampling. The researcher has the freedom to choose the respondents. So you are not choosing the respondents in a systematic way, but you as a researcher has the freedom to choose the respondents. But you cannot choose the respondents just on random. You have to keep in mind about the intention of your study. What is your research intent to find out? Based on that, you have to select the respondents. You can have an inclusion criteria. So selection is done on the suitability of elements for the purpose of the study. Depending on the purpose of your study, you have to determine the respondents. You have to choose whoever you want based on the purpose. And as I said earlier, it doesn't offer any equal chance to the universe. The second non-probability sampling is quota sampling. The data is divided equally among the investigators and each of them is required to pick a certain number of items from his or subgroup to form the sample. So, if there are two or three researchers, uh, they can divide the population into two or three different categories, and each researcher can look into one category of population, and they can pick the respondents according to their thoughts. This particular type of research has, this particular type of sampling technique has a disadvantage because every researcher is unique. So the research will become subjective in nature because the choosing of the respondents will be very subjective. As one respondent might feel that the purpose of this research is this, and another type of researcher might feel the intention of the research is to find out one particular thing. So because of these differences in the opinion of the researcher, there might be subjectivity in choosing the respondent, and this is a very uncommonly used sampling technique. Snowball sampling. This method of sampling is used by the researcher when he or she is completely unaware about the population. So, the researcher doesn't have a clear cut idea about the um, population, then population size, and also the place where he can get the population. So he is completely unaware about the population. She or he then picks one respondent and asks him or her for another respondent. So, for example, if the research is about the unregistered domestic workers, so usually the domestic workers will get registered in their domestic welfare association. But if you want to do a research on the domestic workers who are not registered with the association, it is very tough because we will not be able to know the population size, and also it is very tough to identify the domestic worker who is not registered in the association. So, if you're going to use the snowball sampling technique, you need to find uh, one respondent who is not registered in the Domestic Welfare Association. You will collect data from that particular respondent, and then you will ask that particular respondent to guide you towards the second respondent who is not yet registered with the Domestic Welfare Association. So, as you are completely unaware about the population, you are getting help from the respondents in selecting the respondents. So this is called as snowball technique because the size of the sample constantly grows as new referrals keep pouring in. So your first respondent can guide you to collect data from the second respondent. Your second respondent can guide you to collect data from the third respondent, and it goes on. So as it keeps growing in size, it is called as snowball sampling technique. This can be used when you are completely unaware of your population. Thank you.